The legislation also calls for a committee, you mentioned, to develop and recommend the board guidelines and criteria for evaluation. How will the members of this committee be selected?
Well, there are 15 members. 5 will be classroom teachers, 2 will be principals, 1 will be a director of schools. The Speaker of the House will select 1 teacher. The Speaker of the Senate will select 1. The Governor will select 3. And the Governor will select the principals and the director of schools. Now, the Commissioner of Education will also be on it. The chair of the House and Senate Education Committees will be on it. And then we'll have 3 laypersons, one of whom must be a parent. And they will all be selected by the Governor.
And just briefly, what is the basic task of that committee once in place?
That committee is going to have to develop guidelines and specifics for the evaluation systems for teachers and principals. They're going to have to determine what are the procedures, and they're going to have to work out the appeals process for those people whose data may not be correct or for whom the procedures are not used. So that committee is going to have a huge job.
Yeah. And local school districts, will they have to follow all the recommendations, or will they have some room for change?
Well, the bill specifies that this evaluation system will be for all teachers and principals.
Since not every grade level uses standardized tests right now, how will the guidelines affect those teachers, or those grade levels?
Yes, all teachers are to be evaluated with 35% being student growth measures. 60% of the teachers in the state do not have TVAS, which is what the basic test system is. This committee is going to have to come up with appropriate measures, comparable measures, for those teachers who don't have the TVAS scores, which makes the job even larger.
Well, and to make it even larger, I mean, we wonder about music teachers, art teachers, librarians.
Yes, guidance counselors.
Guidance counselors.
You name it. Lots of teachers do not have TVAS scores. There are no standardized tests. And, well, no standardized test in the TVAS system. So the committee, the Advisory Committee on Evaluation, will have to come up with some measures.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that teachers are going to be greatly involved in determining what those measures will be.
Yeah, I love that you have a parent involved too, because as a parent of a student, to me that's vitally important.
Yes.
What you're hearing from the teachers, how do they feel about these changes? It's going to be a little disruptive, a little scary.
Well, I think teachers feel like everybody feels when some change is going to be implemented that they had no part in designing.
Sure.
Okay. They are anxious about it, and they will be anxious until they see exactly what the process is going to be and how they are going to be affected by it. So right now there is a lot of anxiety among teachers, and I expect that it will be. Now, the evaluation system is not currently expected to be implemented until July 1 of 2011, but that means there is a lot of work to do between now and July 1, and determining what is an appropriate and effective evaluation system is a complex undertaking, and we just hope that it's done well, and we hope also that teachers will feel good about it once it's done.
And they must have to realize that our graduation rates and a lot of our other scores are saying that the system's not working as it is right now.
Yes, and you know, the unfortunate part about it is when we hear numbers, it tells us very little about individual students and about the actual causes for those numbers being what they are. But I think all teachers want all schools to improve. And there are so many things we would like to improve in school systems, and in fact, if you ask most teachers, they will tell you, give us a chance to do it. I mean, let us try it. You've let everybody else try it, and we'll show you what it takes to get schools to improve.
Right, right. In Knoxville, the schools are using an evaluation plan that includes some additional bonuses, financial bonuses, for highly successful teachers. Is there any funding built into this legislation for highly successful teachers?
Well, some of the money can be used for performance-based compensation. Now, the Knoxville system is not really designed to reward what you would call highly successful teachers. Their program is called the TAP program. And a lot of the money that is used there is actually extra pay for extra work. For instance, a teacher can become a teaching coach or a literacy coach. Right. Some are called mentors. And those people who are chosen to serve those roles get additional monies. Right. Now, I think some of the money that we would get through this grant will allow a program like that to be implemented and that to continue.
What happens to this legislation if the state does not receive this Race to the Top grant? Do you think this is something that will continue?
There is no language in the law that was passed that was contingent upon getting the grant. Okay, so unless something happens in the regular session or something happens after the grants have been disseminated or awarded, everything that's in the law will have to be implemented.
Do you think that the legislators would have even considered it if we didn't have $430-something million on the line?
I don't think we would have had a special session.
Yeah.
If it had not been for the Race to the Top program.
Right.
Whether or not some of the changes that have been put into law would have been placed there during this or some future legislative session would require a big guess. I would say there would have been much more thought put into it, and there would have been much more give and take and figuring out what would be the best approach. But whether or not we would have had the same kinds of things put in, I don't know.
Tough to say.
Tough to
and
say.
Of course, it begs the question, if we don't get the funding, which hopefully we will, but if we don't, how are we going to pay for this?
Well, I think some of the things can be done whether or not they get the money. Some of them are policy changes. Yeah. But I don't want to think about the possibility of not getting the money, so we'll all keep a good thought.
We're just not even going to go there today. A second area, of course, of major discussion has been related to failing schools. What's different in this legislation regarding those schools and school systems?
Well, currently the state can take over a school or school system that has been what they call low performing. In actuality, the status of school systems will be based on whether or not they have been achieving adequate yearly progress under the NCLB law, the federal law. Right. Right now, those that are in what we call restructuring 2, which means that they will be in about their 6th or 7th year, not making adequate yearly progress, the state can go in and take them over. Okay. The commissioner has the authority to remove the director of schools, the state, the Board of Education, the local Board of Education, or any combination, and restructure those schools. What this law does, however, is to allow the commissioner to create what is called an achievement school district. We have 11 schools in the state that are in that 6th or 7th year of not achieving adequate yearly progress. Those schools will be taken out of the LEA and placed into this achievement school district. Now, the commissioner can then contract with an individual or individuals, government entities, or nonprofit entities to manage those schools. And they will stay in that school district until their scores turn around. And after 2 years of making progress, the commissioner will then develop a plan for getting them back to the local education agency. Now, that's going to mean that some of the teachers who are currently in those schools will probably not continue in those schools, and others will. That's going to be quite a change. We've not had an independent school district like that that's under the state's charge, but being managed by a different entity.